Before we install the power valve into this can, full race carburetor, it says right there, motorcycle race use. On the other side, it says Sudco. We have to understand how the carburetor works, which I'm going to put this in the very simplest of terms. If you want to figure out how a carburetor works, take it apart. Follow these steps. It's very easy. Once you understand how it works, it becomes less mystifying, and you'll want to work on it. Carburetor is basically a metering device that puts into your intake 15 parts air to 1 part fuel. The trick is to get 15 parts of air and 1 part fuel at idle and at WFO. WFO is a motocross term from way back in America. It means wide fucking open. Full throttle. So, first thing we want to do is we want to take off the 2 screws. There's one here, one here. Okay, off the float. This is a float bowl. Then we have the carburetor, which I have it standing up in this neat little fan so that it won't fall over. But I'll pick this up and I'll turn it towards me. And I'll move that cool little fan thing. Decorative fan. After we take off the float bowl, what you're going to see is your floats, which go up and down right here on a pivot, small stainless steel shaft, which is only held in by itself. You can take a screwdriver like this and go right up to this pin right here and push it out. Once the pin is pushed out, matter of fact, that's even started to come out, the float bowl will drop out. But before we do that, let's talk about this a minute. This is how the carburetor works. Your fuel comes in on this other side here by this little tiny nipple. It's called a nipple boss. And as all you guys know, especially you young guys, you know what a nipple boss is. It's the boss. I don't know why they call it that, it just is. Okay, that's where your rubber fuel line goes in. What this line does is it comes right down through here, and through this opening, which is, you can see this opening right here. I'm going to take the float off so we can see it. I'll show you how easy it is to do. I'm going to do it with one hand. All right. Here we have the floats. They're held on a fulcrum and a pivot with this little pin right here. Okay, I'm going to take this little tiny screwdriver and just push the pin through. They all work the same way. It's not rocket science. Okay. Now I pushed it almost all the way through. You can see the pin right there. It's once I pull that pin out right here with one hand, you can see how easy it is. Okay, the float will drop away like that, just like that. The only thing connected to the float by a small wire, as you can see right here, I'll hold it up against this black so you can see it, it goes right up against this little pin right here. And what this does is it's a valve, and it opens and shuts the fuel supply right here. Okay? So basically what we have is our fuel line coming in. It's dumping fuel in through this hole, right here. And what stops it from overflowing your carburetor and spilling onto the ground is this little valve right here. Okay? Now the way your float works, Cat, I'm making a video. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't jump up here. Don't jump up here, Cat. Don't, please. Damn it. Yeah, whatever. I'm making a video. Okay. Stop, Cat. Come on. Well, that's right. You just sit right there. So the way your float works, can I help you with something, miss? Huh? This is actually a female cat. She looks every way just like a male cat, except she doesn't have any balls, which reminds me of some of our elected leaders. What do you think about that? Shut up and get your cat food, right? Okay. Now, back to what I was doing. Do not move. Do not bug me. The way the float works is the float gets so full of fuel in the bottom here. There can only be so much fuel in this, and it comes to a level, right? What the float does is the fuel will lift the float up like this. Okay? As it lifts the floats, and these used to be made of brass, and they were soldered together, and they were really cool looking, but they leaked. Once the float bowl gets full, it presses the valve shut. As your fuel, now after the float bowl is full, I'm sorry, your carburetor takes the fuel by using the main jet right here. There is a main jet, and there is a, excuse me, there is a pilot jet right next to it. That little tiny thing right there with the straight screwdriver. Okay, the pilot jet is used for idle. Idle to about, I would say, 5 to 7% of your low speed driving. The rest of your fuel is supplied by or through this main jet, which will shoot up and go into the carburetor here. And then it will go out this, or excuse me, it'll go out this way into right there. Okay, I gotta get my thoughts together.